Hello, I hope you all are doing good, and thank you for the views and going through our videos. A big thank you to all the subscribers who have been very encouraging and inspiring, so that I bring up more useful information, not misguiding anyone in terms of the requirements of different foods from different food groups, and which are good, which are bad for CKD patients. So a thank you, a big heartfelt thank you to each one of you for viewing us and liking us. So to start with, today we will do a second round on the vegetables, because I have seen a lot of interest coming up from folks on the video that we had done on the list of vegetables which are recommended. So we had talked only about the vegetables as such, the whole the seeded vegetables basically. So today we will talk about the greens, the green leafy vegetables, which are strictly banned by most of the patients, fearing uric acid levels, potassium levels, and calcium and sodium and all other minerals which can affect or worsen their condition. That is the fear. But to start with, greens are a definitely must have for all those patients having CKD. Also, for those who have CKD with hypertension, we should always remember that beyond food, we take in lot of chemicals, especially in the CKD patients, where we use a whole set of hypertensive drugs and other related drugs to your CKD condition and diabetes, where there are different chemicals, and certain chemicals are also high on potassium. The pharma formulas that are used for hypertensive drugs, majority of them have potassium. So that does not mean that the only food that you're consuming has high potassium. Also remember that vegetables, as I said earlier as well, that these are the most delicate foods on earth, which get melted off in no time, which leave their sodium potassium into the water as they are ion in the ion form, when they are even exposed to small amount of heat. Leave leaching and all aside, I will tell you the right way of using the greens as well as we discuss further. So it's not about the vegetable as such which is causing the high potassiums, but there are medicines which contribute immensely. There have been n number of studies from abroad as well as in India, where they are talking about patients being denied the greens, as well as the fiber content coming from greens, which is of the best quality, is affecting their gut health. So remember, 3 times a week, 100 to 120 grams of green served in your plate is a must have. But which greens, how to cook, here we go. Okay, so to start with, we know spinach, don't touch. That's the worst food for CKDs, and palak, which is the most commonly consumed vegetable, leafy vegetable, is not being used. While that is one side, because it has a potassium of above 500. So now we will quickly run through a small list of vegetables which are high on potassium, one being spinach. And also remember, whenever it is high on potassium, it is relatively also high on sodium, but none of them cross beyond the 100 mg level of 100 grams of any vegetable in terms of sodium. But when we talk of spinach, kulfa or purslane, taro leaves or colocasia or arbi leaves, and then there are turmeric leaves used down south in a lot of cuisine. All these have a potassium level above 500, which means that it takes a longer time for the potassium to get eliminated while in the cooking process compared to the other greens. But these are only four that we have read out. But there are a long list of beautiful vegetables which you can relish weekly 3 times, as I said before, and add it in your dals or make it into a curry or add it into your paratha and relish your greens. So now what are those? Well, there is good news for all South Indians. That is, there is gongura, or the ambadi leaves or the sorrel leaves, which are really a big I know, favorites among the South Indians, and most of them go into pickles and chutneys. But then these are slightly on the 400 mark of the potassium level, but still relatively a better choice. So the drumstick leaves to some extent, and the mustard leaves or the sarso, the favorites of the North Indians. So all these three range between 400 to 350, 360. So all these are much safer when you cook them in this way. What you have to do is wash your vegetable multiple times thoroughly, chop it up not into very small fine chunks, but into a reasonably bigger pieces of leaves, and then leave these pieces, boil water. Once it is hot and bubbling, bring it down, put off the fire, and leave these leaves into the hot water and let it settle for a good 10 minutes. Now, after this, remove the leaves, rinse it in cold water, leave it for a few minutes, and then just strain the leaves from the water. And this is ready to make your dal or curry or going into your paratha. So this will ensure at least further 40 to 50% of potassium loss when you follow this process. Remember, very important, do not boil the greens for a long time. You will not get anything except for the absorbable fiber content from it and some amount of vitamin or carotene coming from the leaves. Beyond that, you would not find any other nutrient when you are boiling it beyond the permissible level. So there is no point of boiling the greens. It's only leaving the greens in hot boiling water and putting off the fire, draining it, rinsing in cold water once again, and using it. So this is the safest and the best way, and it also retains the flavors of the greens, which is very important. So when you are overcooking any greens, it is going to damage it. Okay, so I hope this helps. Now there are more nicer vegetables which you can eat on a regular basis, weekly, 3 times, 4 times, are the methi leaves or fenugreek leaves. Then you have your moringa leaves, the tender ones, the green tamarind leaves, which are also the tender variety, which comes now during the spring, which is short lived and is available in very selected areas. But I just wanted to mention about it because a lot of South Indians who ask about chinta chiguru pappu, which is like very popular during the early summers. So this is also since tamarind always has a higher level of potassium, we keep it aside, but the tender leaves are still safer to take. And so also the amaranth or totakura that is available in south, and the tulsi leaves if you are making any kind of tea for making your herbal teas. And there is all types of lettuce which is green, purple, pumpkin leaves are all very very safe to take. You don't have to think about it because they are very low. They are lower than 300 in number in terms of the milligrams of potassium in 100 grams of vegetable. So very very safe, but follow the same procedure to make it much lighter in terms of the potassium content of the vegetable. Secondly, there are some herbs like the pudina and the coriander, which is very regularly used. Here, what I would like to do is only one small correction. Pudina or the mint leaves are definitely safer compared to coriander. Coriander is slightly higher on the potassium levels, but however, when you chop it fine, leave it in hot water for 10 minutes, squeeze it up, and then do the seasoning on your salad or vegetable, that's perfectly fine. You can eat because we do not add coriander or mint in large amounts. It's only for sneezing and give that nice fresh flavor to your vegetables. This is doable. So these are the list of greens which have been confusing people whether to use, not to use. So I hope that this makes it much easier for you to eat a choice of vegetables. Also to remember that add a small bite of Lime juice, maybe a quarter spoon, though again it's high on potassium. The absorption of the vitamins and minerals coming from these greens goes 100% when you add some lime to it, or some kind of sourness by adding little of tamarind or little of amchur, so that it absorbs well. But then that is the very second option. Unless your potassiums are really well under control, 4.5, you can go with your lime juice or tamarind to some extent. But remember, if you are on potassium binder, or they are you are given a potassium powder to consume it before or after meals for like a week's time or 2 weeks time, and your potassiums are above 6, do not take greens during that period. It is very important. Do not experiment, do not meddle, because the potassiums have been so high in your body. That is where the medicine is coming into picture. So otherwise when your levels are normal, you are not having any kind of issues, your CKD is at a stable level, your creatines are maintained at say 2.5 to 3 max, and your potassium levels are below 5 or 4.5 to 4.8, I would say, you can safely eat all these greens at a frequency of 3 times a week and not more than that. I hope this is clear, and I want all of you to relish your meals, bring variety into your food, and add a lot of greens into your meals. So stay in pink of health, and all the very best. Take care. Bye bye. Thank you.